BBC iPlayer, we have a new 4-part drama series called Dear England. And here's a clip.
Dear England, what I want to speak about is much bigger than football.
Gareth Southgate, the whole of England is with you.
Gareth, a simple question really. Do you think you're up to this?
England manager, who'd want to take on this poison chalice?
Yes, so Dear England, I mean, this is obviously, as we know, an award-winning stage play, and now it's been brought to BBC One for the screen for the masses. And it's a new drama. It stars Joseph Fiennes, who makes an incredibly spookily look-alike Gareth Southgate. I really enjoyed what I've seen so far with this. This is absolutely typically a binge watch. You're going to sit there and you're going to just want to watch it completely. This series follows Gareth Southgate as he becomes the England coach back in 2016. And I think with a lot of these things, very often these dramas, it sort of... we won't remember it. It won't be in our short-term memory. It won't be of recent times. For most of us, this is recent times. We will remember this period of time. And in some ways, a period of time where people were actually quite brought together at times. And as I say, it follows Southgate. He becomes England coach in 2016. The team have never won a penalty shootout at a World Cup. And of course, Southgate, you see in the beginning of this, is still very much haunted by his own Euro 96 penalty miss. And you see John Major, who, not the actual John Major, but John Major coming in doing quite a stoic talk with him and making him feel much better because, of course, you don't want to hear it, but it is just a game. But these lads are so young, they put so much pressure on themselves in front of so many people. And do you know what? He takes over, Gareth Southgate, and they're a young squad. They're under intense media scrutiny, and the press have, they do sort of lift people up to often pull people down, and it sort of feels like a bit like that with football. You're hero or zero, aren't you? That's sort of how it seems to me. And he begins to turn things around, He has his captain, Harry Kane, played by Will Antenbring, and he has the sports psychologist who's really helpful in playing that part as well, Pippa Grange, who's played in this by Jodie Whittaker. And it's 4 parts, and it is fictional, but and a bit like The Crown, you have to kind of step back and realise that this is fictional. But it's so interesting, and you get carried away and swept along with this absolutely immediately. And you see behind the curtain, you see what goes on, behind in the dressing room, I suppose. And of course, it's interspersed with the archive footage of tournaments, including the 2018 World Cup. And but it touches on quite a few bigger issues, which are really, really hard to watch, I find anyway. It looks at the pandemic. It specifically looks at racism. Absolutely awful racism after that penalty was lost. Lots of people remember, and an incredibly sort of chilling words that Gareth Southgate said at that press conference, which I still feel only happened yesterday. And it sort of really shows, what it's like for these footballers to live under the constant pressure of this fervent national expectation, and that's it's brought to life. I really, really enjoyed what I've seen so far. I do think this is the absolute meaning of binge watch, and that's exactly what you'll be doing. Ian, what did you think?
Well, I was really looking forward to this because I'm a huge fan of the playwright, James Graham, who is increasingly getting stuff on TV. He's very prolific. And yes, I've actually performed in a play he wrote about the Labour and Tory whips in the era of Margaret Thatcher, called This House. But that's by the by. So I never got to see the acclaimed stage production, and I was really happy that it was coming on to telly. It seems to have divided the critics. As you say, Fiennes, who played him on stage, he's absolutely nailed it playing Gareth Southgate. And it's notoriously difficult to make convincing drama about football. The one really good example I can think of it's the damned United about Brian Clough. But, often they're not very good. I think this is good, I must say. And it's got Jodie Whittaker as the sports psychologist, Pippa Grange, that he brings in, just because for a lot of players, wearing the England shirt had almost become like a sort of a burden, because there was a lot of expectation, but also a lot of failure, a lot of scrutiny. And, being the England manager, people call it the impossible job, don't they? But, and Southgate, he really understood that, because he'd famously missed that penalty himself. And it's always interesting to see the casting of actors to play real life people. So yeah, you've got all the names from Southgate's England squad, and it's just interesting to see the actors that they've cast to play them. And quite a few of them, I think, really look the part, and they've got round the issue of it's very difficult to sort of convincingly stage football action, isn't it? At a huge game, to recreate that somehow. And they've done it in really ingenious ways here. And you see fun stuff like, it was in the press, wasn't it? The players at the World Cup doing kind of races on inflatable unicorns in the swimming pool and things like that. So, I think football fans particularly will enjoy this, but you don't have to be football mad to get something out of it, I think. And although it has divided the critics, I would say I'm giving it a thumbs up.